Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, September 26th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. Real quick, a couple of clarification points. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing, and then the candlestick right there you see will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, LITM, very, very nice move today. Good solid volume and a nice quality pattern. So as I draw this pattern, just realize I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to imply this is a great discovery on my part or that I have special skills. I assure you a lot of people have drawn this pattern. And I say all that because when a lot of people are watching the same pattern and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So the top part of this pattern here that I think a lot of people will be watching here heading into next week is going to be right up here with that top part of the pattern and breakout area at $3.50. And then along with that, you have this area of support right here. So let me change this to green to represent more so a bullish dynamic of the pattern. And then to keep this all the same color, maybe make it a bit easier to see, we have our resistance, we have our support, and then we have the big momentum move right here. Then make it more visual, put the golf hole down here for you golfers, and this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. So again, no such thing as a guarantee, but is it plausible to think that if the price recovers back up to that top part of the pattern and gets the break up through it, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible thought process to have. Once more, not a guaranteed outcome, but more than rational to think that way. So if you like to play stocks down below $5, if you like to play bull pennant patterns, here you go. Next one here, AVCT. Been tracking this one very on a routine basis. Talked about it in yesterday's video. Going to go ahead and get rid of that level as it served its purpose for now. But really the main dynamic I want to point out, this should mean, have some significance to those of you that watched the previous video. But if you did watch that video, hopefully remember me talking about that red line up there of resistance at 41 cents. And here we have the power of charts. You can see a couple times this morning, price got up there, rejected by the resistance. Tried again in the afternoon, once again got rejected. The problem was that rejection pushed the price down a bit further. But overall, the chart's fine. It's still in an uptrend. But after today, it's just going to be one of those levels where you're going to have that many more people next week watching 41 cents and wondering, can the price break through it? So in some senses, you could just call this a self-fulfilling prophecy point because there's going to be so many more eyeballs now officially watching it. And I want to remind you, just because the price does break above, it doesn't mean it's going to keep moving, but it certainly becomes that much more of a plausible point because you just know that there's going to be so many more people watching 41 cents. So the moral of the story here, 41 cents can be a very, very curious level that a lot of people will be watching next week. In terms of levels of support, going to go ahead and adjust this level up. And I should note, it's always a good thing when levels of support need to be adjusted in the upwards direction. That just illustrates that the trend is still in the upwards direction, with the newest area of support being right there at 32 cents. And then from the overarching standpoint, continue to watch that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. But yeah, preferably speaking, if the price can stay above there, that would be a fantastic sign of power. But all in all, the trend continues, and 41 cents is going to be a very, very highly watched level on Monday. Next one, MULN, and I don't mean to state the obvious, but I will just build some context, but a very, very impressive move. When you consider that at one point during that opening 30 minutes, price was all the way down here, and then it managed to work its way all the way up there. That was a very nice move, but that does bring about the valid question of, but is there any sort of genuine power behind this price movement? Is there genuine strength? And I have no idea, but by using charts, we can answer that question very straightforward. In my mind, it all revolves around this area right down here at 37 cents. Why is 37 cents important? Well, if this movement does have genuine strength, then the price is not going to go straight up because nothing goes straight up. But the price is going to at least show signs of progress, which prompts the next question. Okay, Clay, well, how are you defining quote unquote signs of progress? And that is where 37 cents comes into play, because if the price comes on here, behaves like that, and then works its way back upwards, what do you have at that point? Well, you'd have a set of lows right here. You have that low right there. If you envision those as stair steps, well, you have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. Whereas on the flip side, and again, I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but for example's sake, if the price comes down here and breaks down through there, what do you have at that point? Well, now all of a sudden you have the price having gone essentially right back to where it was, and not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine strength. So again, strong bounce, yes. Is there true strength behind it? Is there genuine power? Let's see if the price can make progress. And once again, my definition of quote-unquote progress being defined as staying above 37 cents. Next one, AMZN, Amazon. And what I like about this one, and I find curious, is let me just first get the pattern in play here. There we go. So throughout the course of the day, what was formed, let me change that to green again, to represent the bullish dynamic, was what is known as a falling wedge pattern. And as backwards as it sounds, falling wedge is actually a bullish pattern, whereas a rising wedge would be a bearish pattern. But we had a bullish pattern here, and you can see last 30 minutes, the price is actually breaking up through it, which prompts the question, hey, is this the start of something bigger? And that's the whole idea of a watch list, is to find unique, to find interesting situations, not randomly rush out and buy something, but to watch it and see how the price continues to behave. And then if it behaves in a way that fits your personal risk tolerance, your strategy, well, then at that point, you could put together yourself a trade plan. But this right here, in and of itself, it is indeed an interesting situation. Once more, what is the interesting situation? The fact that you have this bullish pattern and the fact that it's looking like the price is trying to break up through it. So that's the big question is, okay, is this the start of something bigger? To be fair, maybe it's not. Maybe this thing just rolls right back over. But that is a two-sided coin because, well, maybe it is the start of something bigger, and next week you get that much more upside momentum. So the point here being is we have an interesting situation. We have a pattern breakout. Now it's just a question of, is there going to be more continuation? Let's see what happens. Next one here, AMC. And as I talked about earlier with MULN, no doubt about it, very, very nice move here. Is this the start of something bigger? Is there genuine power behind this movement? I have no idea, as I've said, but we do have a very straightforward way to gauge this. And in this situation, let's just get a trend line into play. Let's see if the price can start to stay above this uptrending trend line, which is built. And I like trend lines because it just reminds us that no price can go straight up, meaning you could have the price come up here and then all the way back down, and then all the way up here, and then all the way back down, and all the way up here and all the way back down. And that would be crazy, but do you notice what's happening? The price would be putting in higher lows that entire time, which means the trend is still up. So as far as, yeah, nice move, is there true strength behind it? Let's just see if the price can continue to put in those higher bases, or a much more visual way to see that is just let's see if the price can maintain above that trend line. As far as next key battlegrounds are concerned, big level up there at that 50-period moving average. You can see it's knocked it down before. Current level of that is now right there around the $8.30 mark. But yes, nice bounce today. Let's see if it can carry into next week. Real quick, wanted to pause and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering next week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen, you want to learn more about this tool, how it should be used, and why it's so powerful in helping traders build consistency, then certainly get signed up for the free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So again, if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more, then certainly get signed up for the free training. Next one, AMD, and have been tracking this one very closely, get rid of that level as it served its purpose now. And the first update comes about just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So yesterday when I did this video, the level of support was at the $69 mark, but with the price breaking below it, you would expect it to act as resistance. And that's actually what happened the opening 30 minutes. There was a gap down, price bounced back. And I mean, just a classic. You could throw that right into a textbook of a support then acting as resistance, and back down it went. But with the late day bounce here, that's occurring. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a nice bounce, but there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. And the first bit of quote unquote work that needs to be done is, can the price not only get up to the $69 mark, but can then break above it and stay above it? So keep an eye on that from the resistance standpoint. And if the price can get up to that level, break above it and stay above it, don't get me wrong, there's still a lot more work that would need to be done, but that would certainly be a good step in the right direction from the bullish side of things. In terms of levels of support, very straightforward, just a question of where did the bleeding stop? And the price actually got down right around that 66.90 mark several times today. And to give credit where credit's due, every single time it did hold as support. So clearly there's quite a bit of buyers down around that area. So keep an eye on that from a support standpoint. But who knows, maybe this thing is going to start to chop around and make a new sideways channel next week. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and another rough day across the market. So just that first update comes into play. Levels of support, as I just said, when they're broken, they tend to act as resistance. So going in today, that level right there at the 281 mark was a support, but with the price breaking down below it, that'll be that main area of resistance. So like AMD, if this thing does get any sort of bounce, that'll be the first bit of quote unquote work that needs to be done in terms of breaking above that level and staying above it. So keep an eye on that. And then as far as levels of support, I want to squeeze things down here a little bit so you can get a better idea of where the next levels are. Oh, is that behind my ugly mug? It is kind of. There we go. So next key level to watch if there is any sort of, roll back over. So the very near term right there around 270, 275. But if that doesn't quite hold up, then I think a more significant level is going to be down there right around that 271 mark. Because if 271 doesn't quite hold up, then I'm not saying it drops immediately down there, but really the next technical level of support is not until down there around the 265.75 mark. So there's quite a bit of room for downside pressure if that 271 mark cannot quite hold up. But once again, to be fair, the price is still, a good $3 away from even testing that level. But nonetheless, still want to get these mapped out because there is very clearly a lot of downwards pressure in the market right now. So we'll see how it plays out for Tesla next week. Next, ATHX, and a nice pattern here. Got some good solid momentum, as you can see right there. And then, yes, there was this pullback. So there has been this downwards channel here that has formed. But the key thing about this downwards channel is twofold. One, as the downwards channel has formed, you can see that volume has dropped off quite a bit, which from a volume analysis standpoint, that's what you want to see, lower volume during those pullbacks and consolidation periods. And the other thing that I left out is, well, what happened before the pullback? Well, you had this big move here. So in all actuality, and let me redraw the pattern here. So yes, there is a downwards channel right here. But what happened before the downwards channel was a huge move up, meaning this is a bull flag pattern. So if you like to play bull flags, if you like to play, stocks down below the $2 mark, here you go. Next, TELL, and a crazy, crazy move on this one. I mean, look at that opening 30 minutes. I take that back. That was not the opening 30 minutes. Where was it? No. I apologize. This was right around 11 o'clock. Clearly some sort of news or something came out. Price went all over the place. And then from there, continue to grind upwards. So we have that question again. Okay, yes, nice bounce, but is there true power behind this bounce? So now you now know, okay, well, we got to define some sort of progress point, which right there at the $2.12 mark stands out to me because just again, if the price were to come down here, bounce around and then head back up, well, at least you'd have a set of lows here compared to that set, which would represent a sign of progress. So as far as progress point, we'll call that $2.10, $2.12, right around there. And then in terms of levels of resistance, two main levels that I'm actually kind of curious about. There is a pretty well-defined trend line right there. And then if the trend line is broken, still a lot more work that needs to be done because not that far above the trend line, you then have the purple line there, the 50-period moving average up there at 284. So you want to keep a close eye on that. But yeah, all in all, crazy day today, big bounce. So let's see if this momentum and bounce carries into next week. Next one, SQQQ, and I've been tracking this one very, very routinely because it is just, there's always getting a ton of volume. But this is an ETF where if you're unfamiliar with it, which means that it's a way for you to make money if you think that the NASDAQ market is going to fall. So if you think that the QQQ is going to come down, which again is essentially the NASDAQ, then this will allow you to make money because this one will go up. And that's exactly why today it had a huge breakout. Talked about this $54 mark quite a bit of times, and you can see yesterday just really struggled with it, could never get any sort of genuine momentum, but this morning got the gap up above it and then made the big nice follow through. Granted, this afternoon there was a bit of a pullback in it, but that was still a very minor pullback within the grand scheme of things, which I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level as it served its purpose. And then I'm going to make the update, which is the opposite of the other. So you've heard that when supports are broken, they tend to act as resistance. Well, the flip side is true. When levels of resistance are broken, they tend to act as support. So if this pullback does continue, then you got to think there's going to be a bunch of people watching $54 because it's essentially going to be a gap close location is reason number one. And then reason number two, it is that former area of resistance, which again, a lot of people, and call it a self-fulfilling prophecy if you want, would say that, resistances tend to act as support. So keep an eye on 54 if this does continue on down. And then as far as areas of resistance, pretty interesting and pretty accurate trend line right there, which has been doing a good job of forecasting where those rejection points have been. So if this thing does turn around, the next general area of resistance, give or take, can be right up there around that $59 mark. So keep an eye on that. But overall, very, very good week for this one with the way, given that the NASDAQ has fallen. And if you do think that the NASDAQ is going to keep falling next week, then this is one where you would expect the trend to continue on up. So keep an eye on it. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used, then certainly get signed up for the free training next week. It'll be Thursday, September 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, if you want me to continue to put in the time and effort required to get this content out to you, then please help me out by doing two easy things. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today, tell me what you're watching next week. But those two things, hitting the like button, leaving a comment, help with the algorithm, they help the channel, and they just communicate to me that you enjoy, and I really do appreciate it, and thank you in advance for doing so. So again, get signed up for that free training next week. Hit that like button, leave a basic comment down below. Everybody, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend.